Hey, Mr. Alec, do you have any questions left for our fearless leader here?
Oh, of course I do. To the people watching, by the way, this is me, Alec. I'm usually on here. If you haven't caught on by watching the show usually, I'm the guy who runs the live stream at OBS and everything. Anyway, to get to the point, I have a few questions myself for Nick that I'd like to ask. And they're all sort of built up off of this one premise. So with a lot of the people I know, since Thumoslang fascinated me so much, I told other people about it. And one thing that I would get often is that a lot of people, some people are quite ambitious, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I could use this because I want to be an artist or go into psychology, and this would be useful for me." Others, on the other hand, are like, "Well, if I plan to go to college and then work a 9 to 5 or something, then retire, what could I use this for if I don't need to have any significance in my social interactions?" What would you say to those people? Would you agree with them that it's not something for them, or would you say they do in fact need it for some other reason?
I think it's easier to answer the question if you would come up with a specific example. So let's say Alex Mustafaev is what person in which situation, and then I speak to you in that role.
Okay, let's say Alec Mustafayev is a guy who is going for.
Your voice cut out. Hey, sounds like we can't hear you.
Hey there. He's doing a beautiful job.
Yes. Yeah. Sorry about this technical difficulty.
Did we get disconnected?
Yeah, we couldn't hear you for a second. So if you could start that over again.
That's fine.
We left off right as you were about to tell us of a more specific example.
Oh. Okay, so what I was saying was that say Alec Mustafayev is a guy who, after graduation, will go to college for a business major, then get some kind of office job, for example, and then live out until retirement working that job or similar 9 to 5s. And since that's his path, he can't see a reason for needing to use a social nomenclature to advance.
Ask your question in this specific example specifically in relation to Thumoslang.
Okay. Let me try again. So,
For example, after work, I go home and I'm in this situation. How does Thumoslang help me? Something like
I see.
you give me an example like that. It's easier for me to get in.
So my day-to-day life consists of going to work, which doesn't involve in sitting at a computer, that being the job, and then going home and spending time with my family, turning in, going to bed, I mean, and then repeating the process every weekday. Why do I need Thumoslang if that's my life?
During the day at work, maybe your group leader is sick. And your group leader is not available for 1 week. and your employer is desperate for someone else to step up, how do you know for sure that you should or shouldn't step up? How do you know that this is your chance to exercise your leadership? How do you know that your training in leadership has been done correctly so that now you can really use your knowledge in leadership in a serious situation? Thumoslang can help you to come up with a correct answer to such questions at work. You have to decide to go home now or later. How do you know that you need to go home now instead of 2 hours later? Why should I stay back at work to finish what I'm doing now instead of delay until tomorrow? Or should I go home to deal with my domestic problem at home? Thumoslang with social logic in Thumoslang. Using the architecture of social logic, you can come up with a correct reason, precisely and correctly the reason why you should or shouldn't make this or that decision when it's time to go home. And when you are at home, you have to decide if you're a single person. You have to decide whether you want to make this a one-night stand or a long-term relationship. This decision has to be made in a hurry. And if you make the wrong decision, it's consequential to your life. And I would say that Thumoslang is the architecture of social logic is necessary because you have to make many consequential decisions each and every day in your life in a hurry. And Thumoslang, the architecture of social logic, gives you the power of language in ways English is not capable of. Did I answer your question?
By and large, yes. Here's a little clarification I'd ask. So would you say that someone else could would you say that the use that someone gets out of Thumoslang varies from person to person? Like perhaps someone who works a job where they may at some point need to step up as a social leader wouldn't need it as much as someone who, say, wants to be a politician.
I'm not sure how to answer that question correctly, but I'm going to try to answer that question in this way. Thumoslang is unlike anything else you've ever seen in self-help. Without Thumoslang, you don't know when you will stop watching self-help videos. Without Thumoslang, you always consider a new product in self-help. Why do we go through 1 month, each and every week, each and every month in our life, we are faced with 1,000 different self-help products. And yet, all of us in the 20s, as well as in the 30s, even in the 40s, in the 50s, we never stop consider spending money, more and more money for another self-help product. Why? Because we always focus on self-help. We always believe that we can help ourselves to improve me. And that is the reason why when you use Thumoslang, you will notice that it's not about self-help. It's not about yourself. Thumoslang is about group help. Thumoslang is about relations. So if you say that Thumoslang can help me better than another person, you're looking at Thumoslang like a self-help tool. And that is a big misunderstanding in my opinion. Thumoslang is not, it can be, but it's not mainly about self-help.
I hear that.
It's about group help.
Uh-huh.
And Jason is the first example of what I'm talking about. Well, I take it back. Second example.
Well, Nick, I have to ask one more question because we're almost out of time here today. And I hear your example, and I hear that Jerison is not the first, but at least one to be proud of. So I would like to ask you a question about how RI4C TV and Thumoslang has sculpted your life. And if you could tell us and the viewers in 30 seconds, just 30 seconds,
Yes.
what Thumoslang and RI4C TV has done for you, I'd love to leave on that note.
That's the easiest question all day. Look in the mirror. That's your answer. RI4C TV and Thumoslang brought me my deliberate family. Norman, Jason, Alec are the reason why I worked so hard on RI4C TV and Thumoslang. But I did not know that from the beginning.
Thanks, Nick. Thanks for sitting with us today. Pretty happy that we got to hear some insights. Got to feel some praise as well, and got to finally discharge praise for how powerful you're making us feel.
Thank you, Norman.
Did you have something in mind for the last 20 minutes?
That's 20 minutes, baby. That's 2 hours right there.
It hasn't been yet. It's only 6:10.
We started at
4:30.
No.
I would really love to hear what you're about to say about second person, first person.
Okay. So Jason is an example. Alec, can you hear me?
Yeah, perfect.
Okay. Jason is an example of what I'm talking about. In a few weeks. Oh, and this was done on camera, by the way. In a few weeks, Jason used Thumoslang in his own way to heal the relationship that he was having with his mother. And that is a big example of why you need Thumoslang even if you are choosing this or that profession. Thumoslang is not about your career. It's about your life. And life is not about income. It's about relations. Income is just part of your relations.